I was a dumbass, voted for Trump. It was the worst decision I ever made.
I've seen the light, and I got out of Maga. A lot of us there have seen the light. We have deep regrets.
I feel guilty because I voted for Trump twice. I feel very guilty because I feel responsible. That's why he's still running.
I was with Trump for 9 straight years. I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed in Trump right now. I'm no longer rocking with Trump.
I used to be a Maga Republican, and now I've turned blue.
And it makes me emotional to know that I ever fucking stood by idly and blind and let that shit happen.
Because I know that I have been a Trump supporter, and I can no longer say that I am MAGA. And
I regret my vote for Trump. I voted for Trump. I'm done. I don't have any more resilience in me.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into politics, culture and viral moments. Today we are talking about the latest wave of Trump voter regret. Firefighters, Florida voters and even Mexican Americans who once backed Trump are now openly regretting their choice, and a viral TikTok is breaking down the cold hard truth. This election wasn't won by the people but the billionaires and corporations. Let's get into it.
More Trump voters are publicly regretting their vote for Donald Trump as he continues to back out of campaign promises and instead focuses on his billionaire friends. Now, first it was the Steelworkers Union out of Pennsylvania. Now firefighter unions in New York City are publicly speaking out as Donald Trump and Republicans failed to fund the 9/11 first responder healthcare program that is designed to help the first responders who are still suffering from being there on the ground during 9/11. Now, you can say that Donald Trump had nothing to do with that, but understand Republicans took that out of the funding bill under direction from President-elect Trump and Elon Musk. Now, so far, Donald Trump has only focused on delivering for his billionaire buddies and nonsense such as Greenland, Canada, Mexico, Panama, all this stuff that he didn't talk about. Not once have you heard him talk about lowering gas prices, lowering grocery prices, your energy bill, etc. All the things he promised during the campaign, he is backing out of because he only cares about one person, himself, and the people who paid to get him elected.
So now I'm seeing all these videos of Mexican Americans crying about how they regret voting for Trump. And honestly, I can't feel bad for you, because when we told you this would happen, you didn't listen. When it was just theoretical, it was easy to ignore. But now that your undocumented family is at risk, now that your kids are being targeted, or the kids in your circles, now that they're coming for you, now it's a problem. Listen, I get it. I have family who voted for him too, and I won't lie, it makes it very hard to process. It sometimes even makes it hard to talk to them, because how am I supposed to be okay with that? I have undocumented family. I have a trans sibling. Trump's policies directly hurt people I love. So when I see our own people supporting him, it feels like a slap in the face. And I keep asking myself, why? How did this happen? This man called Mexicans rapists. He bragged about deporting families. He made racial profiling and hate cool again. And still, some of you voted for him. And now, reality is hitting. Oklahoma just passed a law requiring parents to prove citizenship to enroll their kids in school. Texas is next. Who do you think they're coming for? Not white, undocumented Europeans, Latinos. And now some of you are shocked? What did you think was going to happen? That they'd make an exception for you? That you're somehow a good immigrant? That Trump actually cared about Latinos? Be serious. I know some of you are going to defend your stance with like, well, my family voted for him because they don't like socialism. They care about small businesses. They're conservative. They're religious. Okay. But at what cost? At the cost of our people being deported? At the cost of our kids being denied education? At the cost of our community being unsafe? And so now you're feeling the consequences and you want us to feel sorry for you. No. I'm saving my sympathy for the people who didn't vote against their own families. It's exhausting. We tried to tell you, but if you voted for Trump and regret it, sit with that, reflect on it, because the rest of us, we saw this coming. Please don't share any hate, not even towards Latinos who voted for Trump. This is just my personal view and my frustration about this entire situation.
We voted for Trump because he promised while he was campaigning like a million times that when he got into office, he was going to bring down prices, bring down grocery prices. The inflation has been high ever since COVID, and he promised he would bring that down. But it's obvious to me now that that was not true. Egg prices have skyrocketed. The bird flu is killing all the birds, and he doesn't seem to be doing anything about that. He's stopping disease communications from the disease centers in America, pulled us out of the WHO. Like, how does that help anything? And yeah, all he's been doing is taking away rights and freedoms, or trying to. He's not doing anything about the economy. So yeah, we totally regret our vote at this point. We've had a really tough time here in North Carolina. Half of my house got washed away in Hurricane Helene, and I applied for FEMA assistance and we got approved. But now Trump is canceling FEMA and emergency assistance to people. He's also canceled Medicaid for my children. I know they said they put a halt on his freezing of the funds, but the Medicaid portal is still not working, so we can't access anything for our children's health insurance.
I'm having a really hard time having any sympathy for anyone who voted for Trump. It's not like you just walked off the street and you've never seen him before and he lied to you. This is a man who has been lying and grifting to the American people for almost a decade now. You knew 3 months ago when you voted for him how horrible he was. And now that it's affecting you, you regret it. Like, I'll say I'm sorry that you're experiencing all that stuff you're experiencing, but it's people like you who have allowed him to do that. So I'm not really sure how much sympathy I can really have for people who do it to themselves. I'll reserve my sympathy for people who didn't vote for him and are dealing with all of the horrible things that he's doing. That's where the majority of my sympathy is going to go.
Yeah, we voted for Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. We live in the Florida Panhandle, and we thought that this would be good for our business, but we're finding out now that we were wrong, and I want to publicly say that we are regretting our votes at this point. My husband and me own a construction company, and we literally do not have workers anymore. Most of our workers are from Mexico, and they're good, hard workers. I talked to a few of them, and they said they were just too scared to come back to work because of all the raids. Our construction company is likely to go out of business now, and we don't know what we're going to do, but we're never voting for a Republican again. Ron DeSantis and Trump have been passing laws that negatively affect our business, and I just want to say that I'm sorry for voting for him. I grew up Republican, and it's all I've ever known, but now I can see that me and my whole family have been very wrong about this. So we hope that 2026 comes and we can take back the House and the Senate and stop him from what he's doing. There's a special election coming up in Matt Gaetz's district, and we're going to do everything we can to advocate for a Democrat taking that seat.
You did not win this election. The only people who won are Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, the oil barons that they cut deals with in exchange for campaign funds, and the corporations that want to continue deregulating. Your team did not win. You're not on the team. They never gave a shit about you. And unless you're making over $360,000 a year, you're not going to benefit from his tax plan. Like, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen when 2025 comes along. We're a couple months in and your rent prices don't go down. Your food prices aren't going down. Like, you're going to have more contaminants in your food because the FDA is going to be completely dismantled. Like, to all the red-pilled mid-20s guys that look like me, I wish I could say that things are going to get better, that you're going to be able to afford to move out of your parents' house, that you're going to be able to afford groceries and not have to struggle to pay bills, but it's just not going to happen under this presidency, under this new administration.
I want to preface what you're about to see by noting I am not looking for sympathy or validation here. I was just expressing some remorse and some grief and some sorrow, because I think it can help a lot of people to kind of process through that. A lot of people who were like me voted for Trump and have to account for that. There are moments where I'm just overcome with grief and regret. Not anger, not rage, but just grief and regret over having voted for Trump in 2016. And I get that I've come a long way. I get all that. That doesn't take away those moments. It does not take away the regret, the guilt. I mean, I could work through it, and I do that regularly for a lot of different issues, not just who I voted for in 2016, but I just wanted to document this because this is one of those moments. I just saw the Kamala Harris ad talking about how she is the president for all the people and how Trump has a history of wanting to withhold aid from people who didn't vote for him. And I was responsible. I was partly responsible for putting him in office. I was part of that crowd. And that's something I'm going to have to live with. And I will. But there are moments like right now where that can be overwhelming.
My personal fuck around and find out story and why I think it's actually a great tool to use to deprogram people. I grew up in Christian fundamentalism, and that taught me that my religion always had to be conservative Republican, and that basically if I didn't vote conservative Republican, I would go to hell for eternity because I would be like causing the new wave of Holocaust in the US, but for the murdering of babies. Anyways, I went to a Christian fundamentalist college where I got to vote the first time. I voted while attending my college, and at my college they basically said that we had to vote Republican or we would go to hell, and that Hillary was Jezebel and would ruin our country, and it was all fear. And I had never talked to a Democrat or heard about Democrat policies at all, because I was just raised in this bubble and I was super naive and thought that I knew everything and that Democrats were stupid because I was just told my whole life that they were stupid. So I just rolled with that. Anyway, so I voted for the Orange Man, and I've talked a lot about in different videos this. It's something I deeply, deeply regret. And so I kind of spend my time now saying don't vote for the Orange Man. So I voted for him, and things were fine because I was like in college for a few years while he was in there, and then me and my husband went into the real world, and we both actually got jobs pretty easily and a little apartment pretty easily. We got married, and the economy for us was fine, so I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. And then I started hearing about the families getting ripped across, and when he did the Muslim ban, and I remember I saw a video of this guy crying in the airport about how like he couldn't see his family or go home. It was something, and he was just so sincere, and like he was sobbing, and I am an empathetic person. That's what took me out of that cult, is my empathy. And so I just remember thinking, oh, I fucked up. And then seeing the kids separated from their parents, I'm just like, I fucked up. And then hearing everything he was saying about other people and just like how crazy it was getting, and then I already was like, whoa, I fucked up. And then BLM happened, and I realized I fucked up because I'm like, oh my God, he is so racist. And I already should have known he was racist, but it was like, yeah, I fucked up. And then COVID happened, and the US was just fighting with itself instead of just taking the vaccines because of Trump and all of his stupidness. And I was like, I fucked up. And it took all of those years of realizing that I fucked up to not make that mistake and to leave the conservative Republican movement. And so I do hope that this fuck around and find out also causes other people to leave the movement. But we'll see. Here's hoping.
Alright, let's get straight into it. First up, we have the firefighter union that endorsed Trump now openly regretting it. This is the classic Fafo moment, mess around and find out. These guys backed Trump thinking he was going to be some kind of working class hero, but now they are realizing that his policies are not in their favor at all. The firefighter unions that supported him were hoping for better wages, benefits and protections, but now they are seeing the reality. Trump's policy constantly favor corporations and the ultra-wealthy, not the workers. The biggest slap in the face, his economic agenda benefits billionaires and major companies, while working-class people like firefighters, teachers, and police officers get left behind. His tax cuts primarily help those making over $400,000 a year, and spoiler alert, that is not most firefighters. The response online has been brutal. People are saying things like, you had one job to protect your own interests and you failed, and maybe next time listen to the people who have been saying this all along. Others are pointing out that Trump has a long history of being anti-union. He loves using union workers for photo ops but does nothing to actually help them. In fact, his policy weakens unions and strips away labor rights. And speaking of people who are regretting their vote, let's talk about the Florida voter who say they now regret voting for Trump. Florida, a state that went hard for Trump, is now full of people waking up to what that really means. This one voter who was proudly Maga just a few years ago is now realizing that Trump's policy don't help everyday Americans. They don't lower costs, they don't make life easier, and they certainly don't improve wages. Florida, under GOP leadership, has seen rising home insurance rates, higher rent, and policy that hurt working-class families. But some people only realize the truth once it hits their own pockets. And you already know the internet was not having it. The reaction was full of people saying things like, "Oh, now you regret it." Where was this energy when people were warning you? And you all love learning the hard way. It's a pattern. People ignore all the red flags until their own life is affected. And by then, it's too late. Now let's move on something even bigger. The videos of Mexican Americans crying over their regrets for voting Trump with the hashtag Living Maga trending. This one is especially telling because Trump's immigration policy were never hidden. He was very clear about his stance on Latinos, especially Mexican immigrants, yet some Mexican Americans still backed him, believing the lie that he was only targeting undocumented immigrants and that legal citizens wouldn't be affected. Well, now many of them are seeing firsthand that his policy don't just target the undocumented, they impact all Latino communities. Some of these videos show Mexican Americans in tears, realizing that their votes helped empower someone who doesn't see them as equals. The trending hashtag Living Maga is proof that a shift is happening. People who once defended Trump are now jumping ship, and they are doing so publicly. The comments under these videos are mixed. Some people are sympathetic, while others are straight up saying, "We told you so." And then we have the viral TikTok video that breaks down who actually won this election, and guess what? It wasn't you. This guy on TikTok absolutely broke it down perfectly. You didn't win. The working class didn't win. The ones who won are Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, the oil barons, and every major corporation that lobbied for this regulation and tax breaks. That is who won. And let's talk about Trump's tax plan, because this is a huge part of why so many of his voters are feeling betrayed right now. The TikToker made it clear, unless you are making over $360,000 a year, Trump's tax plan does nothing for you. The middle class and working class Americans, they get nothing but the illusion of property, while corporations and the super rich get actually benefits. And here's the kicker. Trump has always done his 2017 tax cuts overwhelmingly helped the top 1%, while working class people saw little to no real benefits. Now in 2025, he's promising more of the same. His supporters thought they were voting for someone who would lower costs and bring back jobs. What they are getting is corporate giveaways and policy that make their lives harder. The reaction to this TikTok was massive, with people in the comments saying things like, "This is exactly what I have been trying to tell my family, but they don't listen." Maga voters keep thinking they are on the winning team when they are just being used. I swear, some people won't believe the truth until their bank account tells them. It's wild how so many people fall for the same scam over and over again. The rich get richer, the working class struggles, and the Trump still managed to convince people that he's one of them, when in reality, he wouldn't even let them into his golf club without a membership fee. So, to wrap this all up, here's what we are seeing. Firefighters who backed Trump are now regretting it because they realize his policy doesn't support workers. Florida voters are waking up to the reality that Trump's leadership is not helping their states. Mexican Americans who once defended Trump are now leaving Maga because they see how his policy hurt their own communities. And a viral TikTok is exposing the real winners of his election: corporations, billionaires, and oil tycoons. Why working class voters get left behind. The cycle continues. Every election, Trump convinces regular people that he's their champion, and they find out too late that he never cared about them. The internet reaction to all of this is brutal, but at the point, the warnings were loud and clear. The question now is, will people finally learn, or we will be right back here in 4 years watching more Trump voters realize they got played yet again? Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think these regretful Trump voters should learn their lesson, or is this just going to keep happening? Let's talk about it. Thank you for watching, and let's continue this conversation in the comments below. Let us share our thoughts and perspective with one another. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this story and more. I will see you in the next video.